All right, what's going on, everybody? Back again today, doing another video talking about something Marvel related, and it's a movie. It's The New Mutants. So, I never really intended to watch this movie, but we were out at work for 3 weeks straight, and we just at nighttime when there's not much to do, we all just kind of watch movies. I had gotten from someone's hard drive. Someone had The New Mutants, and so I put it on my laptop and we watched it. Now, this movie was heavily delayed, I want to say, because I remember seeing the first trailer for it years ago, and the vibe it gave me was almost like they were going to try and do an X-Men movie, but also have it be kind of like a horror thriller movie, which was interesting. I thought like, hey, maybe it could work. I don't know. The trailer definitely looked kind of creepy, but at the same time, like I said, it was delayed. So as time went on, my interest in actually watching it and giving it a shot became less and less and less. And we'll go into why. But I've decided that for most of my reviews from now on, I'm going to give the objective portion of the review first and just get that out of the way. And then I'm going to dive into like my personal subjective thoughts about it and why I judge it harshly or praise it so much. So, objectively, the movie's not bad. It's not a bad movie. It's definitely got definitely a slow start and a slow build up, but it doesn't take long for the whole mutant thing to become pretty center focused. It doesn't take too long for the uh, people to start using their powers and whatnot. It's just not in a traditional superhero sense. So the plot of the movie is this girl, it starts out she's like running through a forest, and her dad, or something's going on at their house. The dad takes her outside into the woods, tells her to stay still, he'll come back for her. Some kind of monster's chasing her. She like passes out or something, and then she wakes up and she's in this medical facility, this hospital, and this hospital is for mutants to help them get better control of their powers. It's sort of like an off-brand Xavier school. You know what I mean? So once she's at the school, which is pretty quickly, she's there with maybe like half a dozen other kids her age, a little older maybe, who all have powers. And were some characters in there that were pretty popular, and it was kind of cool to see them live action. Cannonball was there. The main character is Moonstar, I believe, is her name. And we saw Magic. Magic was the coolest one. She was my favorite to see Magic live action, and what they did with her and for most of the characters with their special effects to show off their powers. I thought the special effects were great. I thought they looked really well, especially when Magic like coats her arm in the armor and summons the sword. That was dope. So they did that really well. And the movie, I guess they did the really slow build up at the beginning. Like it takes a while for this movie to get going. And that's the hardest part about it, is sticking through it to get to the point where like real action is happening and you're seeing these mutants use their powers. And I think the reason they did that, the slow build up, is like I said, to kind of cater to that horror thriller theme. There are some moments in this movie that were a little on the creepier side, not really like I don't really get scared by horror movies. Like I'm a military guy. I have weapons at home. My rifle's over there in the corner. And there's certain things where it's like, look, anything that's real in the world that could try and hurt me, uh, I'm just comfortable, trying to protect myself and fighting it. You know what I mean? And for all the fake stuff that might come try to hurt me, like demons and ghosts or zombies or whatever, that shit's not real anyway, so I don't need to worry about it. So it's hard to scare me anyway with a movie. I think the last horror movie that I really felt a little, like creeped out was probably Hereditary. That's a great horror movie. Probably the best horror movie I've ever seen. But other than that, uh, it takes a lot to scare me with a movie. So this movie didn't even come close. It's not it doesn't really achieve a good blend of it's the classic story of you tried to do half X-Men movie, half horror movie, and you ended up with just like this half-ass combination. And you're sitting there watching the movie, and you're just kind of like, yo, it would have just been better if they did a straight up, X-Men type normal superhero movie, a normal X-Men superhero movie, rather than try to do this horror, dip into horror. But once the movie does get going and like the plot starts to unravel and of course there's a big CGI fight at the end. There's no real villain in this movie. Without giving away any spoilers, I'm going to tell you that there's no real villain. It's basically, I guess this is kind of a spoiler, so I'll just go ahead and spoiler alert 3, 2, 1. So the main villain is essentially the main character. Like she has this power within her that sometimes without even realizing it she loses control over, and it manifests itself in the form of like this giant spirit bear monster, and it starts fucking shit up. And she has no idea that that's happening. She has no idea that she's causing this thing to be made and start killing people and fucking shit up. But that's the end. The end fight is basically like she's in a trance or asleep, passed out, unconscious, whatever the hell it is, and the giant spectral undead zombie bear monster is there and trying to kill them all. And so some of the New Mutants kids are like, we have to wake her up, we have to snap her out of it, but in the meantime, someone's going to have to hold off this giant bear monster. And so that's where we get the cool fight. Cannonball and Magic both fight the bear monster, while the rest of them are trying to snap this girl out of the trance. That's the big end CGI fight. There was really no acknowledgement in this movie to the rest of the X-Men franchise, which kind of sucks because here we're going to start dipping into my personal feelings about it. It's one thing to have your X-Men universe and give a nod to all the other movies in the X-Men universe. It's another thing entirely in this day and age to not even do that. I get it, like just by saying that they are mutants, it's kind of referencing the bigger universe, but like Hollywood, look, it doesn't matter so much anymore because Disney owns Fox now. They bought it. They got Fantastic Four and X-Men and all them back under their umbrella. But prior to that, like I think that's kind of why this movie took too long to get made, because that deal was in progress. But you guys just got to understand, in Hollywood, like the game has been changed for almost 10 years now. In 2012, when the first Avengers movie premiered, that showed the world single superhero movies about single superheroes, just individual characters, are done. They're fucking done. If you're not creating these characters have existed in a collective universe together where they interact with each other all the time. They've existed like that for decades in the form of comic books. And then they tried for the first time with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they tried to be like, hey, maybe this could work in TV or movies as well. And it did. So that's the status quo now. We're never going to go back to these we don't want to go back to these individual stories. Like, but can't you just appreciate a good X-Men movie for just being a good X-Men movie? No, I cannot. Because that would be like if Marvel came out, Marvel Comics, and said, hey guys, from now on, Spider-Man, Daredevil, the X-Men, Iron Man, Captain America, we're going to start publishing comics, and they're never going to talk to each other. They're never going to talk to each other. They're never going to see each other. They're never going to know each other. All of our comic books are going to be separate. All of our comic books and our characters are going to be separate from one another now. The collective Marvel universe is dead. We're not doing it anymore. People would be fucking livid with Marvel Comics if they ever did that. And it's the same thing with the movies now. If it's not part of a larger universe where all these characters come together, I'm going to be real honest with you. We don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. It's what prompted the Spider-Man deal Sony did with Marvel. Because after the Amazing Spider-Man 2, that piece of shit, everyone was just kind of like, yo, they were planning on doing Sinister Six and a bunch of other stuff. And basically people went, we tolerated the first one. We tolerated the first Amazing Spider-Man because we kind of assumed that if they were ever going to bring this into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and put Spider-Man with the Avengers, we kind of assumed that it was going to involve a reboot of some sort anyway. So with the Amazing Spider-Man, the first Andrew Garfield one, we tolerated it like, okay, this is necessary. Then after the second one, and there's still no inclination at all that he's going to show up in the Avengers alongside Cap, Iron Man, all the others, the collective populace of the world went, we don't give a flying fuck about Sony's Spider-Man. We don't give a fuck. They're over here like, guys, we got Sinister Six coming next. And there's a Venom movie on the way, and we go, we don't care. We don't care because collective universe, that's the thing now. That's the thing. The game has been changed. I'm sorry that you only own the rights to Spider-Man and Spider-Man characters, and you don't own the rights to the rest of them. But that's too fucking bad. That's just too fucking bad. You know what I mean? It's like we're not taking steps back here. That'd be like if a car company just said like, guys, we're gonna start making our car. It'd be like if Tesla was like, guys, we're gonna start making cars exactly how they were made in the 1940s. We're gonna take a giant step back. No, no, we're not. So I don't know. As far as the New Mutants thing goes, though, with there being no acknowledgement of a greater Marvel universe or X-Men universe in the movie at all, that means this movie is still clean in the sense that if Marvel ever decides like, hey, we're going to bring some X-Men characters into our MCU, this might be able to fit. New Mutants might be able to fit because it does not say it does not reference the larger X-Men universe. And maybe that was the plan. Maybe that was one of the holdups with getting the movie released. They had to go back and do reshoots and re-edits because maybe originally they were going to reference, the larger X-Men universe, but then the deal started to happen where they were selling it to Marvel and they just decided, you know what, let's not do that. Let's leave it clean. I don't know. I don't work for these people. All I'm saying is, as a fan, my interest in this movie was low from the get-go because I knew it had nothing to do with a larger universe. And that's just a fact. It's just the way things are now. You got to make your peace with it. But as a movie itself, there is nothing really wrong with it. I thought the acting was just fine. The special effects were great. Seeing some of these famous X-Men New Mutant characters in live action was really cool. So I don't know. I'm not saying don't watch it. I'm just saying be prepared to watch this movie and then never see anything from these New Mutants ever again. Be prepared to never see a sequel. Be prepared to never see them in an X-Men movie. Be prepared to never see them again in a greater MCU movie. It's probably never going to happen. That'd be my guess. And that's what it is. That's what sucks cuz when you have a greater cinematic universe, there's always potential. You have these potential like, oh, well, the Captain America movie just came out this year, so we're probably not going to get another Captain America movie for like another 2 or 3 years. But you never know because this is a collective universe. He might next year Iron Man, next year Captain America, or not next year Hulk's coming out, and he might show up in there, have a cameo in there. That's what the collective universe does. It allows us more of these characters that we love. It's like Thor or for Avengers, and then we had Incredible Hulk, Avengers, and then Age of Ultron. That was where we got our Hulk. That was where we saw our Hulk movies. Or that's where we saw our cinematic Hulk. And everyone's just like, man, okay, Civil War. I guess we're not going to see the Hulk again until the next Avengers movie. Nope, we got a lot of good Hulk in Ragnarok. That's what the collective universe does. It gives us more of our characters by having them being able to like enter each other's stories, enter each other's plots and individual movies and interact in there. It gives us more of our characters that we love. So if you want to watch New Mutants, watch it. It's not a bad movie. Just I hope you don't get too attached, and I hope you don't like it too much because you're probably never seeing any of them ever again. But that's my take on the New Mutants. Let me know what you guys think. Anybody else has watched it? Leave some comments below if you have a different opinion than mine. If you agree, it doesn't matter. Click the like button if you like what you saw here. Check out some of my other videos. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like, and I will see you guys next time.